Americans and doing their jobs. Now, Ms. Fulton, I'm astounded, frankly, that you've been nominated. And listen, you're entitled to have whatever views you want. Look, I'm a constitutional lawyer. I'm actually a religious liberty lawyer by training. Your faith is your faith. Your views are your views. You can say whatever the heck you want. This is the United States of America. But you're asking to be appointed to a very important position in the DOD. Let me come back to some of these statements that you made. Religious freedom is twisted to mean conservative Christians can dictate their beliefs to the rest of us. Hashtag Hobby Lobby, repeal RFRA. When did you change your view on RFRA? You told Senator Cotton you're not in favor of repealing it. You were on June 30th, 2014. When did you change your mind?
Hey everyone, today I'm diving into a heated exchange that's been making waves in Washington. Senator Josh Hawley took center stage in a Senate hearing, grilling a Department of Defense nominee, Ms. Fulton, over her controversial past statements on religion and politics. Ms. Fulton has been nominated for a high-ranking position in the Department of Defense, but her nomination hit a snag when old tweets and statements about religious groups surfaced. Senator Hawley, known for his strong views on religious liberty, wasn't about to let those comments slide. Hawley argued that the Department of Defense should prioritize fairness and equity, not ideological targeting. And according to him, Ms. Fulton's past statements seemed to suggest bias rather than balance. Hawley directly confronted Ms. Fulton, saying he was astounded by her nomination.
Senator Hawley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to the nominees for being here. You know, we've heard from a lot of nominees who've come before this committee from this administration a lot about equity and about fairness being top priorities in today's DOD. But I have to say, that just doesn't seem to bear out to be the facts. And Ms. Fulton, your nomination is a perfect example of it. What we've actually seen is targeting political opponents, targeting people who the administration doesn't agree with, trying to silence folks who they don't like. Clearly, it's a priority for this administration because they've been focused on that rather than doing things like, managing the evacuation from Afghanistan, where we have, let me remind this committee yet again, 13 service members dead, hundreds of civilians dead, potentially thousands of Americans left behind enemy lines. Why? Because the DOD is focused on their radical left agenda rather than on actually saving Americans and doing their jobs. Now, Ms. Fulton, I'm astounded, frankly, that you've been nominated. And listen, you're entitled to have whatever views you want. Look, I'm a constitutional lawyer. I'm actually a religious liberty lawyer by training. Your faith is your faith. Your views are your views. You can say whatever the heck you want. This is the United States of America. But you're asking to be appointed to a very important position in the DOD. Let me come back to some of these statements that you made. Religious freedom is twisted to mean conservative Christians can dictate their beliefs to the rest of us. Hashtag Hobby Lobby, repeal RFRA. When did you change your view on RFRA? You told Senator Cotton you're not in favor of repealing it. You were on June 30th, 2014. When did you change your mind?
I couldn't tell you exactly, Senator.
Why did you change your mind?
I couldn't tell you exactly, Senator.
You're choosing not to tell me, or you don't want to engage, or you don't like this line of questioning, or you don't think you need to be responsive?
Oh, I'm sorry, Senator. Of course, I do mean to be responsive. I don't recall the details of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and I want to be clear that I support religious freedom. I support the rights of our troops and our civilian employees to their religious freedom to the entire extent that the law allows within their employment in the Department of Defense. And I support that in every way. Yes, sir.
Why is it that you think that the vast majority of white evangelical leaders are utterly unmoored from the gospel of Jesus Christ? Can you explain that to me?
Senator, I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I have had differences of opinion from people who don't believe in full equality for all. But I will say it is wrong. It was wrong for me in that moment, and I believe it is.
He referenced tweets where she criticized white evangelical leaders and questioned their faith. Let me read you one of them. 86% of white evangelicals support Trump. If getting a Supreme Court judge who'd outlaw abortion makes this worth it, your religion has nothing to do with Jesus. When asked about these statements, Ms. Fulton apologized for tarnishing entire groups of people and explained that her comments were reactions to specific moments in time. But when Hawley pressed her on whether she believed she had the right to decide who is or isn't a true Christian, her responses were less clear. It's a tough spot to be in. On one hand, everyone has the right to express their personal beliefs. On the other, when you're up for a government position, those beliefs and how they could influence your work become fair game for scrutiny. Hawley wrapped up his questioning by pointing out that these weren't isolated statements, they spanned years. He accused Fulton of harboring animosity toward a group she might oversee if confirmed. His conclusion? He couldn't support her nomination. This clash highlights a broader debate in politics today. Can someone with strong, controversial opinions be impartial in a role like this? And more importantly, should past statements define a person's future? Before we move on, if you're enjoying this breakdown and want to see more deep dives into political drama, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. This isn't the first time a nominee's past has been put under the microscope, and it won't be the last, but it raises an important question for all of us. Where do we draw the line between holding someone accountable for their words and allowing them to grow from their past? I'd love to hear what you think. Should Miss Fulton's statements disqualify her, or is this just political theater? Let's get the conversation started below.